sponsored by AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure. By Jeep. There's only one. And by Trulicity.
Hey, check it out. Josh Allen in the house tonight with a bunch of his friends. Michael Donald, Chris Hassel with you, taking a look at the starting lineups tonight. We talked all about Greg Lee and the Conference Player of the Week for Western Michigan. We didn't even mention that he hit the game winner last time out against Central Michigan. For Buffalo, look out for Ronaldo Segou. He is 50% from three-point range this season, a deadly shooter for the Buffalo Bulls. These two teams met earlier on this season. It's a good first half for Western Michigan, but an 18-4 second half run ended with a Buffalo 16-point victory. Williams 25 points, 14 rebounds in that game. One of 4 players scoring in double figures. As we mentioned, the only team in the country with 4 players averaging over 14 a game. Clayton Bates, first season at Western Michigan, taking over for Steve Hawkins. Was on his staff for a long time, basically dating back to the year 2000. Good to have you with us. Buffalo and the home whites. Western Michigan road dark browns. And Buffalo not going to waste a lot of time. Mike, how soon do they want to get a shot up on offense every time down the floor?
Less than 14 seconds. They are one of the fastest teams in the country in getting a shot off.
Williams passed one up in the corner, takes it to the hoop.
Another hot start for Jonathan Williams. He has been so good and so hard to guard because of his ability to not just shoot a jumper, but he can get to the lane better than anybody in the MAC.
Buffalo, the highest scoring team in the MAC, 82 points a game. They're one of the fastest tempo teams in the country, top 15 in the nation in pace. And there's the second-year head coach, Jim Weitzel, was on the staff of Nate Oates, who's having just an incredible season in Alabama. Won 20 games last year, did Weitzel, before things were shut down.
Coach Weitzel told us that he feels that his team is just much better since the last time these two teams met on both sides of the floor.
Offensive rebound. Yeah, Buffalo blew out their last two opponents. Ball State by 20, Miami by 24. And they'll get a steal, and now they have numbers. Williams will keep it. And it's another putback bucket. This one from Josh Mballa. Bunch of offensive rebounds for Buffalo in the early going. That is what they do best, 14 a game.
Well, it's not just a team for Buffalo that is good at offensive rebounding, but Josh Mballa. He's 11th in the nation in rebounding, averaging almost 4 offensive rebounds a game.
At the free throw line, 73%. Buffalo out to a 5-0 lead.
We talk about the speed in which Buffalo plays, but it starts on their defense. Look at this ball pressure right now. They are always trying to get deflection, steals, so they can get out and run and get a quick shot.
A lot of energy from that bench. Pretty much everybody standing. And Western Michigan with an offensive rebound of its own. Little slip underneath, but the pass could not be corralled, and here come the Bulls, run it again. There's Segou. And Buffalo kept it alive, and it will stay with the Bulls. Another possession here as the shot clock resets to 20. Mike, what are your O'Donnell rules tonight?
Well, talking with Coach Bates, if they can have 4 players in double figures, B. Artis White, Greg Lee, Titus Wright, and Rafael Cruz, they've got a great chance at being really good offensively. They want 50% of their field goals from assists, and they want more assists than turnovers. That sounds very obvious, almost kind of cliche, but he feels that they can own those 3 things, they will find success, and they have done that in the last few games almost to a T.
Well, the officials got together and decided to overturn that and give it to Western Michigan, still looking for their first points. And another offensive board for the Broncos.
It's a good sign for the Broncos. Anytime you can get extra possessions against a very fast team like Buffalo, it's a gift.
And the finger roll from Adrian Jordan Martin, who earned the start. A lot of different starting lineups for Western Michigan this season. Coach Clayton Bates says, look, I don't like to just go with 5. That's not how I do it, because I feel like that takes a little bit away from the guys coming off the bench. They feel like they can't earn that start. Well, Martin did, but Buffalo is now out to a 7-2 lead, looking for their 7th straight victory over Western Michigan.
Now, if you don't show up for practice for Western Michigan, you're not. Coach Bates isn't playing you. You're not getting playing time.
And that's a traveling violation. 3 minutes in, and Buffalo will have it up 7-2.
Look at the energy on the bench for Buffalo. You have to manufacture as much energy as you can. Everybody's up, clapping, screaming, talking about, communicating the scatter report. I mean, you love playing with teammates like that, and that's a product of the culture that Nate Oates started and Coach Weitzel has continued on. This is one of the best basketball cultures in the country.
Mbala lost it, and it's out of bounds to Western Michigan. To your point, Mike, I was watching the Miami game, the last game Buffalo played, and the first minute of the game, I started thinking, they allow fans in here? It's lively, it's loud. No, it was all coming from the bench.
And that's what you have to do in the era of COVID. If you're juiceless, you're useless. That's like the motto for Buffalo. You got to bring your own juice.
A little fade away and another missed shot. This one from Greg Lee. Western Michigan 1 of 5 to start with 3 turnovers. That'll be a charge. Nice job by B. Artis White to stand his ground.
How good of a future is B. Artis White going to have? Watch him step up right in time up front of the restricted circle. Good charge. I am a huge fan of White's game. He's just a sophomore. Had 16 points in his last game versus Central Michigan. Hit 4 threes in that game. Just think he's a budding star for the Broncos.
His dad, Benny, was a star for Michigan State back in the 70s. This Western Michigan team played pretty good at Michigan State earlier this season in their 2nd game of the year. They were in that game only down 5 or 6 with 5 or 6 minutes to go.
Played Butler really tight as well.
They only lost at Hinkle Fieldhouse by 4. Shot clock down to 6. And a little scoot through, but a swat by Williams. David Skogman into the game, coming off a career-high 16 points, 11 rebounds last time out, but that's an easy stuff for Titus Wright.
And a really nice pass ahead. Sometimes this Western Michigan team will get out and run, and when they do, they're extremely effective. They just have to do a better job rebounding missed shots.
Williams almost carried it. And a good drive to the hoop, but nothing doing for Javon Graves. Patrick Emilian gets cut off in the short corner. Good defensive possession again for the Bulls.
Yeah, 10 on the shot clock.
White a deep 2.
Ooh, tough. He's been making contested jumpers like that all season long. He's got that quick release for a small guard.
Open look. Boy, he doesn't look like a 50% three-point shooter, does he? Segou doesn't have a pretty shot, but it goes in half the time.
Well, he's a gym rat. He stays in the gym. All he wants to do is get up hundreds and hundreds of threes before practice and after practice. And he is a much improved three-point shooter. If you're 50% from 3, Chris, you can't go under the pick and roll like that.
Five and a half minutes gone by. Buffalo looking to extend. They will. Nothing but nylon for the lefty Williams.
Hard to believe that Williams is just a junior. There are NBA scouts salivating over his game. He is starting to really catch the attention of a lot of pro teams. There's 6'6" wing like that with a long wingspan. Boy,
not a good
step back
shot by
jumper,
White.
bad shot.
And Williams finds the open Segou. Western Michigan dodged one there, and they'll slow it down a little bit. Next dead ball will bring us to our first media timeout.
And this is where it's a good time to run some offense, look for some ball screen continuity. I think that's their best offense.
Titus Wright wanted to clear out, but then was able to find his cutting teammate, but Jason Whitens couldn't finish again. He's had a couple of good looks inside. Nice trailer pass, and free throws will be coming on the other side for LaQuill Hardnett.
And when Buffalo's running, it's hard to slow them down, but they can score in the half court. You can't go under the screen against Segu. He will make you pay. Little transition, drive and kick. Oh man, look at that step back for Williams. That's tough. Pretty close. A couple more wins for both those teams, and the committee's going to have to look at a multi-bid league for Conference USA. How cool is that?
Buffalo with a 6-point lead. And coming out of the timeout, a couple of free throws for Hardnett. 61.5% free throw shooter this season. And Buffalo has really struggled at the free throw line this season. They've been trying to improve. They want to shoot more, and Coach Jim Weitzel said that he's doing more in practice now.
When you got 3 straight games of making more free throws than your opponents have taken, Coach Weitzel really thinks that's a big point of emphasis. And like you mentioned, I mean, they want to shoot about 25 free throws a game. What does that also do? It allows them to catch their breath. That's a team that wants to play fast, that doesn't call a lot of timeouts. It's like an in-game timeout for them.
He was saying a lot of times early in the season in practice, somebody gets fouled and you just set something else up positionally, but not anymore. Percentage this season, 65%, wants to get that up near 70 as Buffalo forces another turnover. Nice spin move, good look underneath, and David Nickelberry, the beneficiary.
That's the wizard, Ronaldo Segu, manufacturing space on his own. He's got that inside-out cross. Watch the little spin cycle. Great at playing angles, good drop on the foot, and the dump down. The one thing that Buffalo doesn't get enough credit for is their ability to cut when a player like Segu is driving and trying to orchestrate offense. Buffalo does a great job of cutting to the rim. They get a lot of points that way.
The lead stretched to 11 as Buffalo enjoys a 10-0 run.
And it's Greg Lee time for Western Michigan. You've got to make plays and run action for Greg Lee because he is your guy.
0 for 2 to start this game, hasn't scored yet. And again, they get it inside and can't finish. I mean, we've seen him get it right to the rim 4 or 5 times and they just can't finish.
But the help defense for Buffalo is fantastic, and it's been really good the last 2 games, much improved. That's ultimately what has been the difference maker in a Buffalo team in the last 2 games and this part of this first half. In the previous 5 games before that, they're just better defensively. They're more locked in, they're more active hands and aggressive.
And with the shot clock expiring, that's going to be an offensive foul on Rafael Cruz Jr., who must have kicked out his feet as he faded away for that 3-point shot.
Still don't love that rule. I probably would have been called for at least 2 offensive fouls a game back in my day, if that was a point of emphasis.
And my question is, I know I see the right foot go out more than the left, but when you're fading away like that, how do your feet not come up a little bit?
Well, number one, you're not supposed to fade away if you're a shooter, and number 2, you're exactly right. That's natural body momentum. That's why I'm not a huge fan of that point of emphasis for the referees.
Buffalo on a 10-0 run. Western Michigan searching for offense. Just 3 of 11 to start this game, and they've turned the ball over 5 times. Scoring drought to 3 minutes and 30 seconds. And they lost it again. Lee was going baseline. It's another turnover, number 6. And a wide open 3-pointer. Trayvon Fagan can't get it to go. There's a good look at three. JoJo Freeman off the mark. Mbala can't get the home roll. Western's dodged a few bullets, but they have to start scoring some points. They're not a scoring team, only averaging 64 points per game this season. And we head to our second media timeout. 11:01 to play in the first half. Buffalo on a 10-0 run, leading by 11.
And we can be successful. He's understanding what Coach Bates wants from him. He's understanding how to play with new teammates, and it feels like they've just started to develop a rhythm, kind of in a symbiotic relationship, and they're going to Greg Lee more and more on the offensive end because he's earned that right.
On cue, his first bucket of the night snaps a 10-0 run for Buffalo. Still haven't seen Brock Bertram, who was iffy day to day with a foot problem for Buffalo. Coach Weitzel says, you know, if he came to me today and said, I can give you 10 minutes, I'll play you, but we're not going to rush it. Nickelberry again inside.
David Nickelberry is that point forward for Buffalo. He's actually a Orlando native. Won a state championship at high school at Windermere Prep.
Tipped out of bounds by Mbala, 20 on the shot clock. What does Western Michigan need to do offensively to get a rhythm going?
They need to get stops on the defensive end first. Some of those possessions are false positives because of how easy of looks that Buffalo is getting. And they can't get out and run in transition. It almost feels like Western Michigan's on their heels because of their poor defense. It always starts on the defensive end, Chris. Most good offensive teams have good transition offense because of their defense.
And the shot clock dwindling once again. There'll be 2 on the clock, and Western Michigan will trigger. There is Brock Bertram, who's missing his 5th game of the season. He's got that foot problem. They said it's really only going to be fixed by surgery at the end of the season, but they're hoping to get him back at some point here. Well, he got it on the rim, but another empty possession for Western Michigan. Jump stop, too much of one. Turnover for Buffalo.
May have been the best early defense for the Broncos. In the gap, it was a good job of closing out, bodying up with the chest.
Lee looking to drive on Mbala. Good defense. Nickelberry in the corner. Mbala may have gotten away with a push-off, went right back up over Greg Lee.
He absolutely got away with a push-off there, but you have to be ready for that from Mbala because he's going to do that almost every time the shot goes up. He's one of the best offensive rebounders in the country.
7 second chance points now for Buffalo. There's that shove in the back, but boy, Lee's got to come back stronger than that. I mean, he didn't
no question. No question. It's absolutely a shove in the back, but you have to body up Mbala. You know that it's going to be a grudge match every time you line up against him.
Averaging 14 offensive boards a game. That's the number 5 on the offensive glass, and more second chance points. Buffalo with more second chance points than Western Michigan has points, period. Those coming from Trayvon Fagan.
How good has Trayvon Fagan been? Last game he had 14 points, hit a couple threes. That's good when you get a guy coming off the bench being really productive on the offensive end.
Boy, they are all over it defensively.
Wow, look at this.
Ripped away from right, and Nickelberry hits the tie ball. It'll stay with Western Michigan.
Textbook half-court defense. I mean, that was incredibly impressive with the majority of this lineup being second unit guys. Good on-ball pressure by Nickelberry. Hardneck closes out. Nickelberry tries to dig in, and look at the bench. God, you gotta love that. For a defensive possession, that wasn't a dunk. You like dunks, Chris Hassel. The Buffalo bench loves good defense.
Hey, I'm a Midwestern guy. I love my defense. Shot clock runs out.
Wow.
Western Michigan didn't know it. They must have thought it reset on the jump ball. It did not. It's another turnover.
You want to talk about bringing juice, bringing intensity, bringing energy. Right in the middle of conference play, the Buffalo Bulls are playing like one of the top teams in the MAC because of defense like that.
You said coming on that they were playing like the second best team in the conference. I take it behind Toledo.
That's correct.
And we're seeing why they feel like they can really close the gap here in this final month of the season. Get a good seed and maybe win the tournament again. They've won 4 of the last 5. And when they get to the NCAA tournament, the last 2 tournaments we've had, Buffalo has won a game in the tournament.
And listen to Buffalo's last 4 games in conference play, which I hope they get a chance to play all of them. Toledo, Ohio, Akron, and Kent State. It's the gauntlet.
And Bala went high off the glass. This one's starting to get away from Western Michigan. 18-2 run.
Yeah, you need some ball screen action with Artis. Oh, that's tough.
No, needed that.
Man, that is smooth.
Nicely done by White.
That's the other guy. Outside of Greg Lee, I mean, B. Artis White, he can get you going.
But again, got to get stops, got to get defensive rebounds. Second chance again. Third chance. Hard net, missed the slam. Late pass, and it cost him. On the deck for it, jump ball, sends it back to Buffalo. What'd you think of that break?
Almost perfectly executed, but you got to finish on the same side. Trying to get a little too cute, and you can't get cute against a really good Buffalo defense.
Bulls are up 15.
At forcing you to take shots that you don't normally practice because of their ball pressure and because of their commitment to help side defense. Why that's so important is because they want great stops to lead to quick transition opportunities. If you want to play fast, you better have a good defense.
Outscoring Western Michigan 10-0 in points off turnovers. And it's a really important last 7 minutes for the Broncos if they want to be in this game in the second half. Buffalo has blown out its last 2 opponents. Mbala getting the roll. Western Michigan 5 of 18 from the floor. Haven't made a 3, and they've turned it over 9 times already.
Simple, basic analytics. Buffalo has taken 9 more shots than Western Michigan in this half already.
Now Western Michigan was picked last going into the season in the MAC. Buffalo picked 4th behind Bowling Green, Ohio, and Akron. Currently sitting 5th are the Bulls, but playing better than they're standing right now. Uh-oh, another turnover. That's number 10. Graves, oh man.
That was a dicey pass, but a better catch by Javon Graves.
It is all Buffalo. Stop the bleeding for the moment with that tough 3. I mean, when they make a shot, a lot of times it's a tough shot. Nothing is coming easy for Western.
No question, but B. Artis White is feeling it right now, and I just would want to run action for him. Give him some ISO plays.
Hard net, looking to go back up, and no, that was easy.
Way too easy. I understand you want to give up a foul on that possession, but you have to box out Buffalo's front court because they are ferocious at attacking the offensive glass. That was too easy.
Well, here's White again. Used a little hesitation. Boy, you're right.
Yeah, let him go.
Let him cook. Yep. He has 9.
Yep, ISO him. You know, sometimes you just want to keep the game simple. If you've got one of your best scorers, your leading scorer in B. Artis White, if he's cooking, let him eat.
Mbala, big man putting it on the deck, and then he lost it. White did not have numbers, so slows it up.
I mean, Hardnett is 6'9", and he chased down White to get in front of him on that. I mean, that's incredible.
Tough shot, and it's an air ball from Adrian Martin. In the blink of an eye, Segou gets it blocked.
If you're watching body language for the Broncos, they look exhausted on the offensive end, just the way the guys are running down the court.
Boy, again with the shot clock at 3, they get bailed out with a foul. Martin will get to the line. I mean, usually teams will make you work on defense and tire you down. Buffalo's making Western Michigan work on offense.
Yeah, well, it feels like every bucket, and you mention it, it's like they're just breaking concrete. I mean, it's exhausting. The defense for Buffalo has been not just suffocating in terms of speed, but it's been very physical as well. That's been an easy look for the Broncos all first half.
And to your point on those tired Broncos, 4 new players into the game on the substitution as Martin makes it and he takes a seat. So it's a full line change for Clayton Bates and company.
You need someone for Western Michigan on the defensive end to make a big individual stop. Sometimes that's all that it takes is that one big individual stop. Oh, tough fall.
Yeah, Mbala used that head fake.
Jojo.
And can't quite tell who that is that's down.
Come here, White, come here. Come here, Black. Come here, Black.
4:11 to go here in the first half. Buffalo is pretty much led the whole way. They used a 10-0 run to open up a double-digit lead the first 5 minutes of the game. That is Patrick Emilian, the junior from Toronto. It looks like a left leg injury. Let's look again as he went up and then kind of got undercut.
Yeah, and Mbala does a really nice job of ball faking. And that's just an awkward fall. It happens all the time in basketball, especially when it's athlete versus athlete, but you see a pump fake. Certainly not intentional. Difficult fall. Hope he's okay.
Mbala position inside once again. He got smoked and almost put it in. Boy, he's a big body, tough to contain inside, and he'll look for his 10th and 11 points of the first half here at the line.
Yeah, okay, so that was a design set by Buffalo, and they felt that they had the advantage with Josh Mbala on the block against Danny Culp, 6'8" junior for Western Michigan. And what they did was they designed some fake swing action at the top of the key, and they brought it back to the ball side. Had a little reverse pivot, and Mbala, we talk about his skill and strength offensive rebounding, but he's got some ball skills in the post as well. You saw in the previous pump fake, he's got good feet. What a great addition to this Buffalo Bulls team.
And he's one of their better free throw shooters as well, as Emilian continues to try to shake that fall off.
He's probably manufacturing 5 to 6 points a game on the free throw line. If you're a great offensive rebounder, you're going to average about 14, 15 a game if you bring energy like Mbala does.
Just a 15 foul on Buffalo, so Western Michigan will have it out of bounds on the other side of our final media timeout. 33-17 Bulls.
You got a great point guard in Segou. You've got a big-time scorer in Janathan Williams. You've got a extremely physical post presence in Josh Mbala. You got guys like Bruton and Hardnett and Nickelberry, Fagan, that just, they own their role. and they are playing their best basketball right now at the most important time of the season, towards the end of conference play. And I'm telling you right now, Buffalo is looking like one of the top teams in the MAC, not because of their offense, because of how physical, aggressive, and suffocating their half-court defense has been these last 3 games.
They've won the last 2. They're close to winning their last 5. The only 2 losses over that 5-game span, by 1 to Ohio and by 3 at Kent State. And outscoring Western Michigan 12-0 off turnovers. And that was a lob that was nowhere near the intended target of Williams. And Western Michigan's going to try to get this thing close to 10 by the half. They've trailed by as many as 19. They just haven't been able to string anything together. Their largest run is 4-0. And one of the reasons why is that guy just hasn't been on. Greg Lee, averaging 18 a game his last 5, has struggled in this first half. Only 1 bucket.
Don't be surprised to see more play action called for him in the low block.
Almost an and 1 for Danny Culp, who got his first start last time out in the win against Central Michigan. He'll get to the free throw line where Western just missed their last 2.
Coach Bates calls Culp Mr. Consistent in practice and games. And yeah, that first start, that's always exciting to get. And he produced 5.6 rebounds. He's one of those guys who owns his role. He's a star in his role.
Didn't have him at the start of the season. He got eligible in December. Western Michigan's got to help itself out at the free throw line. Now 2 of 5. They've missed their last 3. Culp just 4 of 9 at the free throw line this season.
Defensively, the Broncos have to figure out a way to push Buffalo out of the paint. Buffalo has scored 22 points in the paint out of their 33. That is efficient.
Get in the paint low. Easy stuff.
Too easy. Way too easy. That was textbook high-low action. Anytime you can get the ball to the free throw line, you see increased field goal percentage and assists.
Elbow jumper is pure from Dalen Hamilton.
You hear the assistant coaches for Western Michigan screaming, be more active with their hands. Sometimes a pass deterred is just as good as a pass deflected.
Under 10 on the shot clock now. No look pass in the corner. And boy, that gave Graves a wide open look because the reaction just wasn't there from Danny Culp.
Yeah, Segu uses his eyes as a deceptor. He can do so many things with his eyes that most guards can't. Scans the floor incredibly well.
Lee into the paint, and he'll get to the free throw line. Been a frustrating night. He was 1 of 5 from the floor.
You see Western Michigan's in a 2-3 zone, and Mbala does a nice job hovering around the free throw line. Good little shallow cut by Williams, and a quick little no look by Segu. Watch this. He knows exactly he's going to go back to the corner to Graves, and he points as if there's a screen coming, and he does that on purpose to confuse the defense. Basketball is a game about deception. The more you can deceive the defense, chances are your field goal percentage, your spacing, your assists, your three-point shooting, it's going up.
90 seconds left in this first half as Skogman takes a seat. Nickelberry back in for Buffalo. Once again, no Brock Bertram. 5th game he's missed this season with the foot issue. Just 1 of 2 for Western Michigan at the free throw line.
Here we go, wave it,
Segu just tiptoeing on the sideline and then spinning and scoring.
He is so good at that. Not enough players utilize the spin move anymore. But Segu's got a spin move better than most, and he can use it. He's got Buffalo up big.
Buffalo matching its largest lead of the game, 19. Ronaldo Segu used some nice footwork on the baseline to stay in bounds, and then a little spin at the hoop.
You know, one of the reasons why that spin move was wide open is because everybody was hugging their man. Not necessarily because of bad defense, but because everybody fears Segu's passing ability. And so they hug on their man because they don't want to be the guy that gives up the assist.
Segu has 4 assists here in the first half. More hounding defense. White in and out. Here come the Bulls. Segu off the mark. The tip back and controlled by Western Michigan, but a flop warning is called on Javon Graves. Just a warning. Going to be 11-second different shot clock and game clock here. You know,
I am so glad that the flop warning wasn't a point of emphasis when I played. I would have gotten, I don't know, 7 to 8 flop warnings in my career.
I was a big flopper too, but I'd tell you the sport that needs it's soccer, not college basketball.
Men's soccer needs it. Women's soccer does not need it. Women's soccer is a lot, to me, more enjoyable to watch than men's soccer.
Final seconds of the first half. Buffalo up by 19.
Flare screen.
Boy, that would have been a capper, but Buffalo's going to get free throws because we'll have a shove in the back on Western Michigan with 2.5 left. And Buffalo's in the bonus, so 1-1 coming. And it's been a frustrating night for Lee. 3 points, 1 of 5 from the floor, averaging 18 points a game over his last 5. The reigning MAC Player of the Week.
Really the only guy for excuse me, Chris, the only guy for Western Michigan that's brought some juice has been White. He's got 9 points. He's made some big-time shots. It felt like he's trying to claw his team back into this game. I think a lot of the conversation at halftime for Coach Bates is going to talk about the lack of fight on the defensive end.
Well, lack of the first half. Buffalo takes a 20-point lead into the break, their largest lead of the night. When we come back, we'll return with AT&T 5G at the half. Adam Zucker and the crew back in New York. Okay. What? Square space, first half stats? What card is that? 10. Square space. All right, we're going to try to slog our way through this thing, Michael.
Oh, we're going to do a great job.
Big picture. I'm probably going to ask you to compare. holding Western Michigan to just 21 points defensively. The Bulls on point.
Yeah, we keep talking about Buffalo's offense, but you're right, Chris. The defense was on point. In fact, they had 12 points off 10 Broncos turnovers in that first half. That's what they love to do, get out and run in transition. And against in the half court was really good too, because they were efficient. 26 points in the paint, led by that guy, Josh Mballa. Had 12 of them attacking the offensive glass, initiating the break at a few times, and his ability to crash the offensive glass with a relentless pursuit was almost unstoppable in the first half. It was all Buffalo, and it was all Josh Mballa in that first half.
He had 3 offensive rebounds himself. 8 total.
More shots than Western Michigan has. They've got to stop turning the ball over, and they've got to be able to find offensive continuity, because nothing is working on that end of the floor.
Well, Western Michigan had troubles getting to Buffalo. The bus kind of broke down on the way in last night. It's just kind of been a miserable trip so far. Let's see how they come out of the locker room here. Winners of their last 2, each of these teams looking for their 3rd consecutive wins in MAC play. And offensive rebounds stripped away, and that went off the foot of Titus Wright.
One thing you might notice Buffalo is doing when Greg Lee catches the ball on the low post, especially on the left block, they are doubling right away. It's something that they didn't do as much when these two teams first faced each other a few weeks ago.
That's Mike O'Donnell. I'm Chris Hassel. Thank you for joining us tonight for a little Friday night Maction. This game was supposed to take place on Tuesday. Postponed due to COVID-19. That shot won't count. A foul on Western Michigan. In so many games this month already affected by COVID-19 in the MAC. 11 games if you count the 2 coming up tomorrow that have already been postponed. And Buffalo really impacted early by COVID. Jim Weitzel, the head coach, missed several games in COVID protocol. So it took him a while, but Buffalo is playing like a team that can certainly get back to the NCAA tournament. Western Michigan finally gets something from Lee.
Well, that was a really good defensive possession for Western Michigan. Bad spacing and transition offense, but they were able to refocus.
That'll be a foul as Javon Graves took it to the rim. Go ahead, Mike.
Javon Graves was preseason on All-MAC first team coming into the season, had 17 points per game last season, led the Bulls in scoring. He's getting almost 15 a game. And, you know, one of the reasons why maybe he's not scoring as much, the offensive production for Josh Mballa has been impressive all season and almost unexpected in how good he's been on the offensive end.
And Graves, one of those guys, a part of those 2 tournament wins that Buffalo has had. The last 2 times we played the NCAA tournament, he scored 13 points in the first round win over Arizona State a couple of seasons ago.
Those were good teams. C.J. Massenberg, Nick Perkins. I mean, they had, you know, Nick Perkins was almost, he'd give you 20 a game off the bench. Multiple years of 6th man of the year in the MAC. They were so deep, so talented.
Now, they were a 6th seed. The last time we had a tournament back in 2019, that team was great for Nate Oates, who went to Alabama and has that program surging into the top 10.
I can't wait to just get back to going to games and seeing the crowd. That Buffalo Bulls crowd, that basketball smart fan base was awesome when you and I went there a few years ago.
Yeah, it was fanny pack night.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was which will never die in my opinion.
And it was this matchup. It was Western Michigan.
Right.
And Buffalo had a huge lead early. Western Michigan came back, made it a game late, but the place was packed. It was sold out.
It was one of the best atmospheres I had been in that year, and I can't wait to get back and see the UB crazies in the stands.
Well, Western Michigan's biggest run of the game is 4-0. If they can get a stop and a bucket, they'll eclipse that. It's a 3-0 run for the Broncos. It's been that kind of night. But more effort on the defensive end.
Totally different. It's night and day from the first half. Had him open in the corner if there was a quicker swing. Look at that deflection.
Nicely done by Williams, allowing Segu to lay it in. Williams giving up the body.
Dalen Hamilton needs to be stronger with the basketball. If you become relaxed with your dribble, Buffalo's on-ball activity is too aggressive.
And a rejection at the rim, but a foul call on Javon Graves.
Love to see that one again. I don't know about that one, Chris. That looked clean.
Graves is only 6'3", so guard getting up and swatting it. That looked as as clean as can be.
That's a I don't want to say that's a bad call because it's a Friday night, but that's a bad call.
Because it's a Friday, because it's the weekend, you feel like we should
just trying to be positive.
Okay.
Just trying to be positive.
Right.
You know, stay positive, test negative.
Well, we haven't mentioned the officials tonight. Let's call them out. Kevin O'Connell, Scott Seville, Buddy Mayborg doing a really good job.
Doing a great job.
Well, Mike gets his own offensive rebound as Western Michigan continues to struggle at the line. 5 of 12 at the free throw line tonight. Right. Boy, just does not look comfortable. Was able to get an offensive rebound, and it worked out because B. Artis White hits the 3.
If I was Western Michigan on the floor right now, I would be looking for B. Artis White every time on the floor because his looks are cleaner than anybody else's, and he's playing with the most confidence.
Well, he's 5 of 8 from the floor. The rest of the team 5 for 21 from the floor.
Best time to shoot a 3 is when, Chris Hassel, off an offensive rebound.
I was going to say anytime.
Well, for you in the YMCA, there's no question.
Noon ball, baby.
I'm a 9 a.m.er, personally.
Another foul on Western Michigan. That's the birthday boy, Janathan Williams. Having a good game on his birthday. 8 points. Couple of rebounds, couple of steals, has a block, and 4 of 6 from the floor.
He's going to be first-team All-MAC this season. 18 points, 7 rebounds a game, 3 assists as well. I love I've really enjoyed watching him this season, particularly scouting him. There's a lot of Julius Randle in his game, who, by the way, is having an all-star type season for the New York Knicks. I really, really have enjoyed his ability to not just face up and attack the rim, but 15, 17 feet from the rim. He's got a good jab, step-back jumper. The kid's tough.
We talked at the outset about how the MAC tournament is just going to be 8 teams this year, so it begins in the quarterfinals. So teams 9, 10, 11, 12 will not make the tournament. That would be Western Michigan right now in that 9th spot. But Buffalo was sitting there at 4-4 in conference before blowing out Ball State and Miami, and now looking to do the same here against Western Michigan. They'll be in a much better spot after this one. Segu, boy, he loves taking that baseline.
Yeah, well, he's got a very bouncy step back crossover in his bag. It's shifty, it's bouncy, and it forces the defense to rise up when they don't want to, and he can blow by you with that quickness.
Titus Wright again running into trouble and now having to call a timeout with 9 on the shot clock. He's had a tough time inside, just 3 points as we head to break in Buffalo. Nice plays baseline in this game.
So if you've been a victim of a Ronaldo Segu crossover, you know what it's like.
When he broke your ankles.
It's not important. Age is not important, Chris. It really isn't.
Middle school?
Let's just say that I was a father at the time, and still am a father, and Segu was barely in high school. It's not a big deal. We shouldn't bring it up again, but you know, you have to bring up the old stuff, man.
Well, Western Michigan out of that timeout, knocking down a 3. It was once again Beardis White who has 15, half of the points for Western Michigan in this one.
Keep feeding White if you're Western Michigan.
Another offensive rebound.
It's too easy.
More second chance points for Buffalo.
The Broncos look uninterested in rebounding, and Buffalo is continuing to take advantage of the lack of effort when the ball goes up.
Now White this time can't get it. Mbala swatted that one and then chased it down.
He's everywhere, isn't he?
Well, he's having a good ball game. 12 points and 10 rebounds. A double-double for the big man. They had never been to the NCAA tournament prior to 2015.
Yeah, it's the Nate Oates effect, and then when Jim Whitesell got on staff, he was kind of that second voice for the team, and Coach Nate Oates took the job at Alabama, doing an exceptional job. Alabama might end up being a 1 seed by the end of the regular season in the NCAA tournament. And Coach Whitesell taking the mantle on. It was an easy transition from head coach to head coach, and he's just continuing transition offense, play fast, great defense, and you're seeing the product on the court now.
And Whitesell says he talks to Nate Oates often. They talked last week. And gets to watch them quite a bit as Mbala comes up with the steal and the pass ahead. Graves makes it a 21-point lead for the Bulls. I love Mbala. He can do it all.
Yeah, he's going to be, I mean, he might be second or third team All-MAC this season. I mean, he's putting up such great numbers. He's been a force for Buffalo that it's going to be hard to keep him out of a All-MAC conference selection.
There he is, getting his hands on it
Look
again.
at that.
And with the shot clock at 5, that
he has shut down
good.
Greg Lee. He has completely shut down Greg Lee in this game. It's impressive because Lee is, I mean, this is a guy who's been playing great ball as of late.
Yeah, last 5 games averaging over 18 a game, shooting 62% from the floor. In this one, 5 points, 2 of 7 from the floor, and a couple of turnovers. And that one nowhere near the basket. Rafael Cruz Jr. way off the mark. And Mbala, as we go back to that great defensive play and the look ahead, I mean, he can put it on the floor and he sees his teammates.
It's been a few times where he has initiated the fast break. This guy's a tank. He's 6'7", built like a linebacker. Could play for the Buffalo Bills if you wanted to. I mean, the size on this guy. And think about this team, though, Chris. Jonathan Williams Jr., Josh Mbala Jr., Ronaldo Segu Jr. You got 3 of those guys coming back. Javon Graves graduates, who's been just one of the all-time great Buffalo Bulls players ever. But this team is going to be, again, stacked leading into next season.
And guess what? Another Mbala offensive rebound. Averages 4 offensive rebounds a game. That's top 5 in the country. And Mbala tonight, 11 rebounds in all, and 4 of them on the offensive end.
Mbala had 308 rebounds last season. That was the most since the 1978 season of Buffalo Bulls basketball. And Sam Pelham, the great Sam Pelham of Buffalo. That record has stood for a long time.
Well, even though Western Michigan is 4-11, it doesn't tell the whole story. They won both games last week. And they're starting to hit their stride. Had a couple of early close losses at Butler. They were in it late against Michigan State at the Breslin Center, and then had COVID struggles. And, you know, we were talking with Clayton Bates, the head coach of the Broncos, and asking, you know, what's been the key to the turnaround the last couple of weeks? And he said, just playing. But the problem is, and he didn't say this, I'm saying it right now, this is their 5th straight road game.
Yeah.
They have not played at home in 3 weeks.
Yeah. It's exhausting for 5 straight road games pre-COVID. And when you're throwing in all the wrinkles you have to do, not just to play the game, but to get on the plane, the bus, all the safety protocols that go along with that. I mean, it is incredibly difficult. This Western Michigan team is a very good defensive team. They've been a good defensive team all season long. They're in the top 6 in the MAC in scoring defense, defensive field goal percentage, 3-point field goal percentage defense. They have the tools defensively to be a team that can hang with anybody in the conference. Buffalo is just playing at such a high level right now. Chris, and you and I were kind of talking in the break. It's less of what Western Michigan isn't doing, and it's more of how great Buffalo is playing right now at this time in the season.
Yeah, they've just reached another level, and that's why even before this game, you said that now they look like the second best team in the conference.
And they really do, and we have talked about it a little bit, but you know, right now they've got Toledo, Akron, Kent State, and Ohio ahead of them when you're talking standings. And Toledo's 11-2 in the conference. It's going to be hard for any team to catch them. I mean, Toledo's one of the top mid-major teams in the country. But it is absolutely conceivable that in just a few games, Buffalo is going to inch their way up into second place in the MAC.
Well, with a win tonight, they will move into a tie for 4th place, but they are tied for 3rd right now in the loss column. But I'll tell you, 4 conference losses.
I'll tell you, the top of the MAC is really good. We mentioned Toledo. I mean, they've won 5 of the last 6. They have a net ranking of 50. They're a top 50 net team. They had a big win at Marshall earlier in the season. And Akron, Kent State, and Buffalo are all inside the top 100 net rankings. The top of the MAC is loaded.
And Buffalo is headed toward the top of the MAC, continuing to just blow teams out. It's one thing to just beat teams, but these last 3 games, they're destroying teams. And really, when you go all the way back to the start of the season, they're winning games. The games they win, and the 8 wins, winning by 18 points per game. And that number keeps going up.
Yeah, they only lost 4 to Army. A tight game versus Bowling Green. The Syracuse game, they lost 107-96.
Well, they blew that game. They were up 16 points at the Carrier Dome in the second half. And I know that they're still kicking themselves for that one.
No question. And they lost at Kent State by 3. They lost to Ohio by 1. You know they wanted that game back. Ohio has such a great backcourt. That's a team that could beat anybody in the country with that backcourt.
Yeah, we saw Ohio about a month ago, and remember you saying that even though they were off to a slow start, that was a team that could absolutely win the MAC.
They got a pro on the team. I mean, Jason Preston is a pro. He's going to be making a lot of money in the league. Look at that pass. I mean, look at that. Javon Graves just makes it look so easy. He's been making it look easy for a long time. We talked about his scoring, and everybody looks at he was preseason All-MAC first team because he averaged 17 a game last season. He almost gets 4 assists a game. He is a playmaker, not just a scorer.
Well, they're making plays all over. A little Euro step, and that's going to be a blocking foul. A really unfortunate
you have to call it a blocking
Fagan because he got stepped on. But you know what? He was there, and he was inside the circle. So that's that. But Buffalo is A-OK even with that foul call. 61-35. They are blowing out the Broncos.
The top 5 by the end of the season is Alabama. We were talking about former Buffalo coach Nate Oates. And Alabama's offense is exceptional. It's incredibly fun to watch. But they are also one of the best teams in the country at defending the 3-point shot. I like that Alabama team as well.
And Buffalo doing the same. So good at defending the 3. Top 10 in the country. 6th in the nation at 27%. Another steal and another finish for Graves. I mean, it's just been that kind of night, and really that kind of fortnight for Buffalo. These last 3 games, putting it out of reach early and then just having fun.
That is not just a thing to say. I think you are so spot on with what you just said, Chris Hassel, about this Buffalo team. They're having so much fun. It looks like a team you'd want to play for. They look like teammates that you'd want to play with. The bench, they're up over 30. They're up 30 points. The bench is going berserk on every possession. I mean, you've got to love that.
And they force yet another turnover. That is number 14.
You're up 30, and the entire bench is standing, clapping, waving towels.
Yeah, even guys that haven't even been out there. It's good to see. It'll be a third straight win for Buffalo.
We'll talk about the upcoming games for Buffalo too, though, Chris. I mean, some of these, they're scheduled to play Eastern Michigan at Eastern Michigan, but then they've got Toledo. I cannot wait for that game. Then they're Ohio, Akron, and Kent State. They're having fun now.
Yep.
How will they play when they're going to play those top 4 teams in the conference?
It'll be a gauntlet down the stretch for these Buffalo Bulls.
You know what's really interesting too? Let's just say Buffalo goes on a tear and they win out in the regular season, and they win the MAC tournament.
If they win out, they have a chance to get the 1 seed, because they would be at 4 losses, and Toledo would have at least 3 losses because Buffalo will have beaten them.
Well, my point of what I'm getting at is, you're watching this. You and I are watching this Buffalo team, saying they could absolutely win the MAC tournament. If they win the MAC tournament, what do you do with Toledo? Then Toledo is a 50 net ranking, one of the top mid-major teams in the country. Is it possible? If the only game Toledo loses the rest of the way is to Buffalo, is it possible that you could get 2 teams in the MAC?
Yeah, we were wondering the same thing about some of these other conferences. I mean, look at the Missouri Valley with Drake and Loyola. I mean, it's going to be tough this year, more so than any other year, for the committee to try to figure things out as we look at Mike's top 5 mid-majors. And Loyola, this is in order, or is this just... Is Loyola number 1 for you?
Loyola's number 1.
Okay.
Belmont's number 2. Drake's number 3. Excuse me, St. Louis is number 3. Drake's number 4. And Western Kentucky, I still think Western Kentucky, talent-wise, is actually top to bottom, is the best out of that group of 5. They are still trying to figure out defensively how good they need to be. I love the Drake. Loyola Chicago is fantastic.
Well, those 2 teams are going to play twice very soon.
No question. And Belmont has such a great offense. It is fluid. It is crisp. They got 5 guys on the floor that can shoot at all times. Belmont is absolutely that team that in the tournament, if they're a 13-14 seed, upset city on neutral floor.
Well, and that's where Jerry Palm has that team right now. Yep. Belmont as a 14 seed. They've only lost 1 game. I say this every year, but I would certainly much rather see some of these really good mid-major teams, even if they don't win their conference tournament, getting at large bids over, say, those 500, sub-500 power conference teams.
Winning matters to me, and especially in the era of COVID, winning matters more than ever. And you want to talk about one of those multi-bid conferences. I mean, it's conceivable that the Atlantic 10 could have 3. St. Louis and St. Bonaventure are terrific, but what Mike Rhodes has done with this young VCU team, Bones Highland might end up being Player of the Year in the A10. They are really good. They're 13-4 and playing the best basketball of the season.
Boy, that sequence right there tells you all you need to know about tonight. Nothing easy for Western Michigan. Pretty much everything easy for the Buffalo Bulls. And just to button up Mike's top 5 mid-major teams, I mentioned that Drake and Loyola are going to play twice. That begins tomorrow. They play Saturday, they play Sunday, back-to-back.
Can't wait. We'll see. People were questioning if Drake was for real. We're about to find out.
You got Nate.
8:39 to go in this game. And Buffalo leads it 69-36. Hey, Mike, you're going to find out what it means to be a Cowboy very soon, because the PBR season continues from Del Rio, Texas at the Built Ford Tough Invitational. Catch PBR Unleash the Beast, American Roots Edition, tomorrow, 10 Eastern on CBS Sports Network.
Chris Hassel, do you know how you stop a bull from charging? You take away his credit card. Speaking of money, how money has Buffalo's offense been? I mean, exceptional in transition. They're sharing the basketball, shooting it at a high percentage. I mean, this has been a joy to watch this Buffalo team.
Darren, our producer, says you're lucky that we're not killing your mic after that awful joke you just made about Bulls.
Good for one a day.
You know, we've been talking about Buffalo and their recent success in the NCAA tournament. Those great teams that Nate Oates had. How does this team compare to those teams of years past?
Well, they're not as deep as teams, and it's not. I'm not talking about playing time. I'm talking about talent on the offensive end. They have guys, role players coming off the bench that provide such a great defensive cushion. But offensively, you don't have a Nick Perkins. You don't have guys that come off the bench that are knockdown three-point shooters. The starting five is electric. Janathan Williams gets 18 a game. Josh Mballa averages 15. Javon Graves averages about 15. Segu's getting 14 a game. And then the next highest scorer is Keyshawn Bruton at 6. So that's the concern, Chris, is it's actually scoring coming off the bench, which is one of the reasons why this Buffalo team it's not quite as good, but they are still great on the defensive end.
And they're still number one in the MAC in scoring, averaging 82 a game, and they're looking to head north of that tonight. Pound for Pound brought to you by Rogue Fitness and Josh Mballa, a beast on the interior. He averages a double-double. He's got another tonight, 13 and 12.
And couple that with 3 assists and 2 steals. And he's also 5 of 7 from the free throw line. He has been a man-child tonight. And he has Buffalo Bulls moving and grooving in some action.
Mballa, born in Detroit, grew up in France, played for the French national team. Boy, born in Detroit, goes to France, and then plays college basketball in Buffalo. I mean, he must like the cold weather. You get out of Detroit, you get out of that area.
Listen,
you know, let's go to Buffalo.
No, if you live in Detroit and then you move to Buffalo, you have to be tough as nails. Because I couldn't live in Detroit and I couldn't live in Buffalo. I'm a Florida boy and I couldn't take the cold weather. I'm too soft. You got to be tough to live up north.
Thank you, Mike. I grew up in Iowa. For 28 years I was there.
You must have been I would not consider you a tough individual, but I'll take your word for it.
It's -6 in Des Moines right now. We were talking about Loyola facing Drake this weekend. That's in Des Moines. Temperature is not going to see single digits. Luckily, they play basketball indoors, although Western Michigan would beg to differ.
Look how hard Buffalo's playing. Look at this. You got Segu diving on the floor for a loose ball.
Nice pass. Mballa finishes. Speaking of finishing, I got to finish that point because I sounded like an idiot. Western Michigan, I said, they beg to differ on the playing indoors thing. They had to play outside in August because of COVID restrictions. They put up hoops outside the facility and played in the parking lot. They drew the free throw line with chalk.
Every coach that we've talked to before the game that talks about what it's been like, they stress appreciation constantly. We can't take these games for granted. We can't take stepping on the floor when the lights turn on for granted, which means you can't take practice for granted, which means you can't take the training room for granted, which means you can't take the weight room for granted. Sometimes there's a lot of good that can come out of a lot of dark. And right now, Buffalo. Okay.
There's always going to be a surprise. I mean, look, Loyola. They went to the Final Four a few years ago, and this year's team's better.
Well, Villanova's team right now looks fantastic.
They just can't stay on the court. They've had so many COVID cancellations.
I
don't think we know enough about Michigan. They're number 3, but they've been off for 3 weeks.
Well, their next couple games is we're going to know a lot more about Michigan. But I think right now for me, if I had to pick today, it's Gonzaga, Baylor, Villanova, and Houston. That's my Final Four right now.
I don't know how you can not pick a Big Ten team as good as that conference is. I'm going to pick Illinois. I think Illinois has a great chance.
Loaded.
Speaking of tournaments, you got the MAC tournament coming up in Cleveland beginning March the 11th, beginning with the quarterfinals. Just 8 teams make it. Of those 8 teams that eventually make it, how many do you think have a realistic chance to win? We talked about how there are 4 MAC teams in the top 100 of the net, and Buffalo is one of those teams.
That's a great question. You know, I mean, Toledo, Akron, Kent State, and Ohio, and Buffalo, to me, that's your top 5. I can't figure out what's wrong with Bowling Green. I think my hesitation to figure that out, the answer to that question is I don't know what's wrong with Bowling Green. Lost 6 games in a row. Justin Turner has not looked like himself. I'm completely baffled by the collapse of Bowling Green.
The preseason favorites in the MAC. It's a team that Western Michigan beat just last week. And a rare fast break bucket for the Broncos. They just ran into a buzzsaw tonight, didn't they, Mike?
No, there's no doubt. It was one of those situations of, it's not exactly that Western Michigan played a horrible game. I mean, they had 16 turnovers, but that's kind of almost average for teams that play against Buffalo. They're usually turning teams over almost 20 times a game.
Trayvon Fagan
Buffalo
has hit a couple of threes. And they are having a party, aren't they?
It felt like, and we talked about the Open, we mentioned it in the middle of this broadcast, and it felt like if it's a 2-game sample size of Buffalo's last 2 games, last 2 wins, they're playing like the second best team in the MAC. If they continue this, I don't know, Chris. I mean, I don't know how you slow this team down if they continue to have this much fun with these many weapons, but the defense has been so good.
Yeah, but the team that's number 1 in the conference in scoring, you don't expect them to also have maybe the best defense in the conference. 3:34 to play in this one. Substitution timeout. Buffalo used a 10-0 run in the first few minutes of the game to open up a double-digit lead. It has not been close. Tonight, all Buffalo outscored Western Michigan 41-21 in the first half, and that's exactly what they've done here so far in the second half, 41-27. And it looks to be a 3rd straight blowout victory for Jim Weitzel and the Buffalo Bulls, who have improved to 9-6 overall, 7-4 in conference play. And it will tie them for 4th in the conference as Savion Gallion travels, the sophomore from Washington, D.C. Going deep into the bench here.
I don't think Coach Weitzel knows how to sit down. I think he's so locked in all the time. I love it. Love his energy.
Some of these other guys getting some quality minutes here, including Jamin Bivens.
We got to stay coaching the young guys that come off the bench, because in an era of COVID, you have no idea who's going to be out, who's going to get contact traced. I mean, this is valuable time and minutes for young players for Buffalo to own your role, run the offense, understand the culture. I mean, now more than ever, your name could get called unexpectedly because of a player being out.
It was a wild week in the MAC, bunch of cancellations, postponements, I should say. In fact, we were going to be in this time slot here on CBS Sports Network, but it was going to be Buffalo at Central Michigan. And Central Michigan had to shut things down, and they got to play this game that was postponed on Tuesday.
We're really thankful to the MAC administration for figuring out how to schedule this game.
Sure.
And both teams, Buffalo and Western Michigan, being very flexible and also, more importantly, being ready. And we are incredibly grateful for that.
Everything's so fluid. Now, Western Michigan has never been able to put together 3 straight scores. Their largest run of the game is just 5-0. And that's been one of their biggest problems, the turnovers. That's number 18. They've also given up a ton of second chance points. And a 3! Lucas Sala off the bench and into the score sheet.
Get the bench go crazy.
He was one of the leaders,
3.
Mike, on that bench brigade that really got him off on the right foot. I'm not talking on the floor, I'm talking from the bench. I mean, they've been standing pretty much the whole game. That's one of the things that I have enjoyed about this COVID season. They've spread the benches out, and officials are no longer telling the bench that they need to all sit down.
Well, I hope the chairs eventually get closer together, but I don't want it to go back to the referees asking guys to sit down. Energy is so important. It's got to be fun. You got to have some fun out there.
Well, it's been nothing but fun for Buffalo. I'm hoping that Western Michigan's bus trip back home is less eventful than the bus trip on the way to Buffalo. The team tweeted out a photo last night of the sunset from a rest stop when the bus broke down. And there's Sala.
Look how bonkers the bench goes.
Awesome.
It's the best. That's the team. Listen, I mean, you can joke about it and roll your eyes if you want, but you can't tell me that that's not a team that loves playing for each other when that happens. It doesn't exist if you don't jump up and down and get crazy excited when a guy knocks down a 3 who barely plays. I mean, that's the best.
Buffalo, the only team in the country that has 4 players averaging 14 or more points per game this season. In this game, they have 6 players in double figures.
Come on, stay with it, Dia. Keep Dia up.
Coach Weitzel talked about we need to be a more unselfish team. Not that we're a selfish team, but we want more assists in our transition, in our half court. What does that lead to when you've got great shooters and great scorers? Multiple guys in double figures, playing unselfish.
Well, they are 3rd in the MAC, averaging 16 assists per game. They have 18 tonight. Don't go anywhere. Inside college basketball coming up next. Offensive rebound and a chance at a 3-point play for Western Michigan. Chase Bars on the boards.
Well, I got to tell you, partner, it has been not just impressive, but a remarkably impressive collective effort from Buffalo on both ends of the floor. It was initially spearheaded by Josh Mbala, and then everybody got in on the action. I mean, we barely talked about how good Javon Graves has been, and he jumps into double figures. Has 16 points. David Nickelberry has 14 points. Segu, look at this. This is a great point guard line for Segu. 11 points, 5 assists, and only 1 turnover. Incredible performance.
A 3rd consecutive win for Buffalo, all by 20 or more. This one by 32, start to finish. blowout by the Bulls. And a 7th consecutive win over Western Michigan. And the updated MAC standings.